Committee to order. Staff can start us off by noting the presence of a quorum.
Mr. Horke.
Here.
Ms. Morgan. Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Pierce.
Here.
Mr. Wiley.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Thank you. Item next, approval of the minutes of our November 11th, 2024 meeting. We have a motion regarding approval of these minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
I have a motion from Justin Wiley, seconded by Kelly. We're all voting present, so we can do this on a voice. Everybody in favor of approving the minutes? Respond with an aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? Minutes are approved. Staff, could now please provide the rules of procedure for this morning's meeting.
Procedures for public hearing items. For items requiring a public hearing, today's meeting has the following structure. The department will summarize the petition, then the petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present to the Plat Committee. The president will open a public hearing. Individuals will be given 3 minutes to speak. Those representing a group will be given 5 minutes to speak. Only one member of the group will be given 5 minutes. For efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. The public hearing will be closed when all interested members of the audience have had a chance to be heard and all emails received during the meeting have been provided to committee members. The petitioner will then be given 10 minutes to respond to comments without interruption. The committee will follow with any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the petition. This may include additional discussion with the petitioner. At this time, the committee may then act upon the petition. For items that do not require a public hearing, the department will summarize the petition and highlight any changes or modifications since the item was last before the Plat Committee. Excuse me. The department will also describe what action, if any, is necessary to be taken. Petitioner will be given 15 minutes to present any changes. The committee will then act upon the petition. I do not believe we have any items of business. So ignore all of that. Rules of conduct, please do not disrupt the proceedings in any way. If you need to have a private discussion, then we ask that you quietly exit the room. Please silence your devices. If you must answer them, then again, please quietly exit the room. We don't appear to have anyone attending in person for the public hearing, so I'll skip that one. If you are not attending in person, comments regarding a petition should be emailed to planners@westfield.in.gov with the petition name or number included in the subject line. Those comments will be forwarded to committee members and the petitioner. We would like to remind everyone to please speak directly into the microphone. Yeah, we don't have microphones, so not applicable.
Need a version for this room, don't we?
Every meeting, I'm like, I need to rewrite this, and then I forget about it until the following meeting.
All right, thank you. We have one item in front of us today. Does require a public hearing. It's the courtyards of Cielo Ranch. The petition number is 2411-ODP-09 and 2411-SPP-10. I will.
Your meeting, are you here for the Plat Committee?
Yeah.
I will go ahead and open a public hearing for this at 11:03.
Can I do my intro?
Oh, yeah, true. Let's pause that public hearing part. I was so anxious here. Let's have a staff intro.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Familiar enough that somehow or other in my mind, I was thinking we must have already done that.
We have a new website, and I'm still learning how to make these files bigger.
When you figure it out, let the rest of us know.
Yeah, this has been great fun.
User-friendly is not yet
How to
anything I
zoom
have
in.
figured out.
There we go. Okay, so Courtyards of Cielo Ranch. This is located at 161st and Viking Lear Road. So this is the Viking Meadows subdivision. 31 is kind of over here. The Monon is kind of on the other side of this single parcel, or rather collection of parcels, one property owner. This is a 80 lot, 55 plus restricted active adult community, single family detached. They'll all have the patented EPCON side and rear courtyards. There will be, if I can zoom over here, kind of a tree preservation area through the middle. There is a legal drain with floodplain. There There we go, that's a good look. So due to the legal drain and floodplain, the trees in this area down to the east side of the property will be preserved. And then there will be additional buffering with the pond. They are proposing amenities, so they have clubhouse, pool, a pond overlook to kind of make this more active. Pickleball courts, and then a community garden is also planned, as well as the required bufferings on the various property lines. The applicant will be installing a trail along their property, as is required by our design standards and construction standards. That trail will terminate on both ends. And included in this plan set are some exhibits of what that will look like. What these buffer yards will look like. So that was a quick overview. Happy to turn it over to the applicant if they have anything they want to add or answer any questions.
Certainly. Applicant's team, did she nail it, or do you have more helpful information for us?
Andy Wirt with Churchill and Antrim. I don't really have anything to add. Happy to answer any questions we've got. I know our design team has been working pretty diligently to address the tech committee items, and we did get this approved. The PUD, I believe, was approved in September of this year, so this is a fairly recent project that the Plan Commission's seen.
Okay, well, we will now open the public hearing. I was so anxious to open a few minutes ago to allow an opportunity if there is anybody that has wanted to provide us a comment. Lauren will check our email box to see if there's anything that was emailed to planners@westfield.in.gov. So the public hearing is actually open now at 11:07. Anything in the inbox that's relative to 2411?
Not at this time.
We will hold till 11:09, or do you want to make a public comment here?
Yes, I'm Alan Nass,
Okay.
1122 East 161st Street. I'm the adjoining landowner on the east. And the only comment we have, we don't want to hold up anything in the approval process, but we would just like to have a terminus on the east end of the trail in front of the property. On page 55, Lauren, there is a picture of the west side, or the west terminus. You're on 1113, you're gonna go down to 55.
Yeah.
Okay. They show a
Oh, there it is.
a 4-board fence at the end of that path extending to the street, and 3 trees on that side. And so on the east side, that's on the west side, so on the east side, we feel that there's, I don't think there's any terminus shown there, but we feel like we're being exposed to some liability there from people walking off of that trail onto our property to try to get to the Monon Trail, which is on the east side of our property. And they'll have to cross a creek and so forth. So we asked for Dale Pfeiffer, the person with EPCON, if they would provide a fence there at the east terminus, a 4-board fence from the street back to the creek. And he'd agreed to that in writing to me by email. So if that'll suffice, if you make any approvals today, you just might reference that item in your approval.
Okay,
You said there was a creek that goes
there is a creek that crosses this 161st Street between the Epcon property and the Monon Trail. It runs through our property.
Okay.
There is a bridge there on the street, but there's no walking path or access to that.
It's the continuation of
property.
this creek.
Oh, it's up there.
Yeah, crosses.
But you're talking about that fence being up front on the walking trail?
Yes.
On the road.
Right there at
Right
the east
there.
end.
Is there anything that's shown up in the inbox?
And how far was that fence gonna go?
No, alright, we're gonna go ahead and continue this dialogue, but we'll go ahead and officially close the public hearing. Since we're not hearing further public comment, we're now addressing that. So at 11:11, the public hearing is closed.
How far did they tell you the fence line was gonna go?
Well, it's kind of open right there between that creek and the street. So I'm just asking for a short fence from the street back to that creek there and to,
Okay, but are you saying all the way up to the road?
So like this area. It might be helpful if I had one that showed the trail.
I have no problem with what you're saying. What I'm trying to wonder is if,
I
I don't
guess
know
I'll-
that you can take a fence all the way to the street.
I guess I would also chime in as a city engineer with Westfield. I would not be in favor of having the fence there. Actually, I wasn't even aware the other fence was shown there until today, but I think what would be amenable to would be some terminus signing, similar to what we do with like a roadway that's ending, where we have some red reflective markings and things like there, because from a liability standpoint, if somebody running off the road, we don't want them running into a fence. Also, we also don't want to have to pay for that fence removal if and when we ever do connect the trailer widen the road through that portion. Because being in the right of way, they doesn't have to pay for removal of that portion. So I would offer as a compromise to do some signage there. That would be at the end of the trail, but I don't want a full fence that goes through there.
Can you take a fence to the road? Cause there's gonna be setbacks,
I would say
right?
technically you're supposed to have some clear zone outside of your roadway for cars if they leave the roadway and don't hit things.
That's gonna be curbed, right?
It's not curved through
It's
that
not
section.
curved.
No, correct.
Okay. But you could, there's no reason they can't put a fence across the path and,
I think that would probably be far enough it's out of the clear zone. I would think from the city standpoint, I don't think we would still support that we have that through there. I'd rather have signage because signage is much more malleable if they're hit. It's a breakaway post and it just folds the sign over and then we replace the sign versus a fence, which is more expensive to replace and we'd have to pay for that removal if we did it.
well, existing right now, that, where that terminates is probably 8 to 10 feet higher than the street.
Mhm.
There's an embankment there
Mhm.
that goes up and
Right.
across. It wouldn't have to go to the street. I don't think it could go to the street, but at least across the end of that pathway. It's just some deterrent for someone.
Yeah, and I think the signage there would do that. I mean, I think if you see some red reflective posts at the end of it that have some signage on there, you would realize the path's ending. Now, is that gonna deter people from continuing? I can't say that, but at least it would have some demarcation that the path's ending through there.
and that's what his problem is. He doesn't want anybody on his property.
Correct.
What
But-
is the distance to the edge of the path compared to the
what
edge
I
of
was trying
the
to-
pavement?
I was trying to look at that. So
Pretty
it's
good.
75 feet across to the center of the street, so you got another 20, I mean, it might be 40 feet to the back side of the asphalt.
Mhm.
So you got 30, 20.
So Michael, what you're saying from the engineer's perspective, the requested fence you would believe ought to terminate at the east-west fence and then have a
Correct.
sign at the end of the trail,
Correct. Yes.
and then everything after that remains open because of the safety concern.
Correct. Yes.
That there will be a clear marking
Yes.
that says, don't go here.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And
And I'm not one to try to tell the engineer's office how to keep Westfield safe, so.
What about the tree buffer that we had on the other end? Could we put that on his end?
There's already a tree there.
Oh, is there?
yeah. And
That'd
we do
be the
have,
tree that's-
we
you
do
can
have
just walk
four,
around, or-
we already have 4-board fence 40 feet from the street
Oh, okay.
there now. If you look at the aerial photo, we have fence all across the front of our property. And that,
Oh, you do have it across the front too, that's right.
yeah, and the walking path is actually, would be behind our fence from the street.
Hard to say
Yeah.
in this picture.
Yeah, I think the major difference is there's that this becomes city property once this project comes in, so I'd rather not have it within city property. Now, if you wanted to elect to put a fence on your property, there's nothing I could do to stop you on that, from that case. I just don't want it within city right of way that we own.
Which is what, 20 feet off the road? 15 feet?
On the current one or on the proposed, on his current property or on the proposed?
Well, if you're saying he's gotta put something up,
I'm saying he's
On his
he's
property.
able to, so I mean, what this dimension is, we have 75 feet
75 from
from
the center.
center line to where our new property line exists. Now, this property is not dedicating right away because this isn't being developed, so their property line comes out and I don't know where their property line.
The center of the
actually
street?
ends. So center of the roadway probably because it's never been platted, but
and your fence goes past the walkway itself towards the street? Or it sits back?
Yes,
Okay,
it's closer to the street than the walkway,
okay.
as best I
They'd
can
have to-
tell.
They'd hit that fence and then have to walk down and around in front of your, gotcha.
Whatever you decide, but we just want some terminus indication there so
Sure.
that, to warn people that's
Right.
private property or whatever.
Okay, so you're okay with the signs?
So
Not the, I get it.
I don't wanna hold up the project, I just,
Right.
uh,
Just don't want a bunch of people marching across your property to get to the moon on.
At the end of the path will be behind his fence, so it'd be,
well, they'll probably go in front of the fence along
Yeah,
the
they go in
street.
front between the fence and the
they
road.
would hope to.
Yeah.
What you're trying to prevent is
Yeah.
from going behind the fence.
Well, if they go behind the fence, they'd like to enjoy our creek and our trees there and,
I understand.
which is another issue. I also don't want a fence on city property that forces people to walk into the road to get to a trail, so.
So in light of those comments, do we wanna revisit the design on the west side? So you mentioned you didn't want that road, we could make a commitment, a condition of approval requiring that any fences shown perpendicular in the right of way be replaced with signage per public works approval.
I would be comfortable with that.
Commissioner?
I've not talked to Dale about this specifically, but I certainly feel
You'll communicate that on our
committing
behalf.
to proper terminus acceptable, because this will be in city right of way once we record the plat.
Dale, are you on?
Yes.
There you are.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna jump in here. Yes. EPCON would be agreeable to the terminus signage, the reflective signage on both, east and west boundary lines. And we're also even open to extending the fence onto the NASA's property to help them if that's okay, outside of the right of way.
The signs that we're discussing and the fence that you've now offered, if 10 years from now there is some incident that damages or any of those disappear, who at that point in time holds responsibility to replace or repair? Is that going to fall upon the homeowners in the courtyards at Cielo Ranch, or how's that
Whoever's
gonna work?
property it's on. So
Just
you
wanna
can-
make sure
you
that
can
if
build
we're-
something on his property with his permission, but 10, 20 years down the road, if it's deteriorated, then he'd probably have to fix it. If it's on their property, then they're gonna have to fix it with their homeowners. So it depends on where you would put it.
I mean, see, if the signage is in the right of way, typically we would maintain right of way signage.
Is there anything else about this that we need to discuss? It sounds like we've reached a general agreement on a change to both east and west ends. The west end we thought we had covered at the time the PUD was approved, but now that we have input from the engineer's office, then we need to revisit that. But we can do east and west as we've discussed if there is no further concerns. So, having reviewed and discussed that, reached agreement, we are, I believe, ready for an approval on this, which would be contingent upon, refresh my memory, were there staff comments that we needed to include?
Not anything beyond my typical comments, but we
We do have
would,
two of them.
yeah,
And sort of one of them, I guess, is covering what we have just discussed, the approval by Public Works of any construction standards waivers, and if applicable, all necessary approvals be obtained from the public, Westfield Public Works Department and Hamilton County Surveyor's Office prior to the issuance of an improvement location permit. Does that satisfactorily encompass what we've just discussed, or do we need to formulate language for a third condition?
I think I'm comfortable with that, because we'll address that within the plans that we approve before sending them out anyway, so.
Everybody on that side of the table okay with this? That Michael's team will do what we've discussed, and we've got it in the minutes, what resolution we came to with the comment that was put forth. So you don't actually have to come up with a third condition.
Yes, we're okay with that. If the recorder can't pick up my nod.
All right. If there's nothing else to be discussed, we're looking for a motion, which includes the two staff recommended department comments.
Make a motion to approve the courtyard Celio Ranch with the condition of the changed or amended
But we're good with the two
Term signage.
staff comments that were
to
in the
staff
report,
comments, perfect.
which I
Make it
read a
easy.
moment ago, but we can read into the record
Thank
again.
you. Yeah, to the amended staff comments.
All right, so motion for approval from Michael Kelly. Do we have a second?
Second.
Justin Wiley for approval of 2411 ODP 09 and 2411 SBP 10 with the two conditions as noted in the staff report. We can call the roll, please.
Mr. Horke,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Pierce,
Yes.
Mr. Wiley.
Yes.
Okay. Plat is approved. That's all the items. That's all the items we have in front of us for public hearings and approval today, taking us to reports and comments. Is there anything from committee members for each other? Plan Commission liaison. There's nothing coming from Plan Commission to this body till next year unless something has changed.
Correct.
We have things that we are doing, but December is slowing down even for Plan Commission. So this will be our last meeting of this committee till 2025 at, we don't know which January or February date until something is submitted that needs to be in front of us. So enjoy your holidays, everyone, till we get together again. Community Development Department, anything further to mention, or did I steal all the thunder?
You stole all of my thunder, though. I will say we have launched a new city website. There are some hiccups in it. If you guys have any questions or can't find something, feel free to send me an email and I'll provide whatever is needed. Hopefully, as you mentioned, we don't have another meeting for a little bit. That won't be an issue, but
I haven't actually spent much time the last few days on it, but it has been quite interesting. It's either less bad or I'm getting used to it already. One thing I do have difficulty with in this room is it doesn't seem like the public Wi-Fi or whatever it is. Maybe I just need to check my password, but I tried connecting between my hotspot and that, and it always is so slow in here. So I don't know if I've got the problem or if we have an issue with the city.
I'll discuss with IT.
Alright, we are ready for a motion to adjourn. Anybody care to, motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Wiley, not having enough fun, wants to adjourn. Second,
I'll second.
Michael Bruce is ready to adjourn as well. Everybody in favor of adjourning, aye? Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining from adjourning? We have adjourned at 11:25 a.m.
Thanks, gentlemen, appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
All right.